Whether your beer is in a bottle, can, or glass, kick back and relax. It's Better on Draft.
Welcome, everybody, to a special Saturday episode of Better on Draft, the Michigan Beer Series. My name is Ken. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, don't forget to check out on all of our social medias. That's Twitter, Untapped, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Facebook. You name it, we have it. It is all at Better on Draft. Going around and seeing what everybody is drinking. Starting with myself, I've got from the Loaded Dice Brewery, the birth of the Fat King. Robert, what do you got over there?
Nothing too special, just a blend of ginger beer with some, whatchamacallit, the Sea Lip, the non-alcoholic spirit with distilled citrus botanicals.
And a nice dry January to you. Wendy, how's that damp January going?
Damp January is a little saturated today. I have, of course, the Trogs Mad Elf, because I am just waiting for them to come on the show. And I also got to spend some time at Kunin's today, so I have a Seniors Quadruple Ale as well.
Awesome. And Nick, welcome. What do you have?
I'm not doing this dry January thing. I got myself a s'more stout from Schwartz. And once that's done, we got the Shiner Bock going after that.
Perfect. I actually just got done talking to Shiner earlier this week, and we're going to go visit the brewery when Dan and I are in San Antonio in a few weeks. So definitely check out all of our social medias for photos and updates from that fun little event. But we do have a guest in studio, a return guest who's probably been on the show a handful of times. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you're doing these days?
Yeah, hi everyone. Mark Logusz. You may have heard that name, or may not have ever heard that name. But if you did, you may have heard it associated with Old Nation over in Williamston. I've moved across city limits over into East Lansing, and I'm at Ellison Brewery.
And what are you drinking?
I am drinking. Robert and I are both doing the dry January, but I'm drinking. Oh, sorry about that crazy background thing. The Heineken Double Zero in a nice tall can.
Definitely one of my favorites, because those are usually something you could find at nearly every bar out there, including the main bars like a Buffalo Wild Wings. So when celebrating your dry January, they have definitely improved their recipe from whatever it probably was before the massive sober October, dry January, dry July, all that fun stuff has come out. I did do a little research. The last time you were on the show was 5 years ago, May 2018.
Wow.
So that was the last time we talked to you in a microphone. Obviously, you were you do discuss and partake with the Brewers Brothers, so you've been on a few other podcasts that are associated kind of with Better on Draft. But as you have moved over to Ellison, before we kind of get into that, you were doing some assistance. You were assisting breweries. What was your position before Ellison, to kind of give us the between Old Nation and Ellison?
Yeah, through COVID and up until recently, I was doing some light brewery consulting, which was just sort of a mild extension of what I was doing for Old Nation, some distribution management and mostly distribution management and some marketing stuff. But that was just to sort of keep I would say keep my finger on the pulse, but I don't even know if I did a very good job of that. I sort of took a little break and just didn't really want to let go and stay out of the industry for too long. So I talked to Aaron Hansen a little while back, and we had some discussions about what it would look like if he let go of some of that marketing stuff and focus on the stuff that he's really excelled at, and so we decided to take his sales and marketing keys away.
And when you're brewery consulting, obviously you're working as an independent contractor. For the most part, you're selling yourself to these breweries. What for breweries that may look at it and be like, why would I want an independent or not an independent contractor, a brewery consultant? What were you positioning and offering? Like, what are some of the things that you were doing so that the next time somebody says, "Hey, I'm a brewery consultant," they might be like, oh, let me see if I can, use you to my advantage.
Yeah, there are a ton of different types of brewery consulting, just like there's tons of any kind of consulting. It can be a section of the business or the entire business. I focused on distribution management, and what that means is if a smaller brewery doesn't have or doesn't want to put a full-time person or doesn't have the bandwidth to do things like court out-of-state distributors or work through those agreements and work through the regulatory differences in each state, then they could. That's all the stuff that I did at Old Nation. So doing that and just being a portion of a head count, rather than having to pay for a fully burdened employee with benefits and stuff, helped out a couple of breweries who just wanted to dip their toe into that type of distribution rather than have to learn all of those things and bring in all this institutional knowledge to then try to go out of state.
Well, let's talk about distribution before I pass it off to Robert. We were talking earlier before the show because I wanted to pick up some Ellison beer, and lo and behold, everywhere I went, struck out. Javier Baez or whatever his name is, the leading strikeout king of the Detroit Tigers.
It hurt my heart. That reference hurt my heart.
Well, you understood it because obviously he's
100%.
Yeah, he averaged about a strikeout a game. With that in mind, what had happened with Ellison? Why can't I find it on the shelves? And am I going to find it on the shelves anytime soon?
Yep. So during the pandemic, Ellison pulled back. There were some canning line issues in the middle of the pandemic. Rather than heading down that path and then dealing with a distribution through the pandemic, Ellison chose to pull back and really not be 100% pub only, but get real close to that. Since then, a lot of things have changed in the brewery. There's been a huge investment in new technology. Brand new canning line is showing up this week or next week, and as well as de-alcoholizer, which I hope that we can talk more about today since we're in the whole dry January, and a new location. So there's a ton of investment going into Ellison right now, and but the impetus and the reason why for all that investment now, and the reason why you couldn't find the beer on the shelf is because we haven't been shipping a ton of beer out into the market, and that'll change. We'll start with Dan Henry in our home territory, and then expand through Q1 and Q2. You'll start to see a lot more beer on the shelf.
And I guess I'm actually curious about the expansion because I've been seeing the reports about the new location that's going to be happening at in REO Town, the REO Town location. I guess talk to us about that new location, and I guess what your plans are.
Yeah, you can see that I am through the magic of Zoom. This is it behind me. I'm not actually there. It's a
kind of fake
background. Yeah.
The showing of the can gave it away.
I know it's so much for trying to hide where I am, but the new location in REO Town is in. It's only a couple miles from where we are now, but it's in a super hip section of Lansing. But Lansing has a few different little burgs, and REO Town is where the Diamond Rio truck company was based out of, where I'm sure you've heard of the band REO Speedwagon. I'm not sure if you know that that's an actual vehicle. A lot of folks, I know I didn't know that. but that vehicle was produced in Lansing, and the building that we're opening up in was the showroom for the REO Speedwagon and the Diamond Rio. So it's a super cool building. What we're looking at behind me, technically right now, is our upper level. So it's a 2-level space. There's a bar on each level, and the upper level is we've been doing weddings there, Christmas parties. It's just a full-blown event space with stage, bar, bathrooms, etc. And the lower level is large enough. It's one of the larger breweries, restaurants in the Lansing area, and there will be a full indoor-outdoor patio. So there's windows all around the whole place that open up. The whole roof is essentially a row of windows as well, not skylight type, but I don't know. You have to come see it, but windows everywhere, and it'll be like indoor outdoor. All of our sour beer production will be there, as well as our barrel aging, and all of that will be expanded as well. So we're super excited. Soft open is going to be January 20th, and then our first event that we're having upstairs, as you know, once the place opens up, is going to be a drag brunch on Super Bowl Sunday.
Right. I hear that there is a very large parking lot. And usually when I hear a very large parking lot, that also means that there's going to be space for the possibility of having festivals, the beer festivals specifically. Is there any plans on doing anything like that there?
Robert, we didn't talk about questions ahead of time, but I'm really glad you asked that question. So thank you. That parking lot is insanely huge. And if you're trying to park in REO Town or really anywhere in Lansing, parking is sort of a struggle. So we're equally as excited with the parking lot as we are the building. And yeah, there's going to be festivals. There's going to be like a German style Christmas market. We're planning. We hope we can get our act together and put a St. Patrick's Day together, but I don't know if we will in time. But beer, absolutely. I'm, one of the most prideful things that I did over at Old Nation was help facilitate that lager festival. And it was a blast, and working with the city was great. And working with that time, Paul Starr helped us out with that one. And that was just it was great to see all that come to fruition. And so being able to do that with some of the distributor contacts that I've been working with over the last few years, I'd like to do a similar thing. That was the second favorite festival I've ever been to, was that Lager Festival. My favorite being the Funvitational over in Kalamazoo. That goes through for their 30th. Mm-hmm. And that is that's the kind of thing that I would love to see. Something where we work out deals, distribution deals, to get beers that aren't in Michigan, and come drink them. And being centrally located in the state, right in the capital, I feel like we're in a really good spot to do something like that.
Yeah. Now, I know that the new location has been kind of a long time in the making, because originally it was anticipated to open. It was like late 2018. Then it was spring 2021. Obviously, COVID definitely had something to do with slowing things down. But what's been the push like up to now to, getting to the point where you're getting to finally open in less than a month? COVID was rough, and then Ellison opened a location in Indianapolis that regulatory was a little bit more friendly there, and there was a location that just was perfect right next to Lucas Oil Stadium, or just on the other side of the tracks, right at the stadium. And then COVID hit, so a lot of the attention, a lot of the bandwidth was poured into that location because of how perfect it was. Then COVID hit, and we weren't having conventions anymore and sporting events and all that stuff. So that location got shut down, and then the focus became back into this location. All that to say, the reason why the push is happening now, or why
it went from hurry up and wait to just hurry up is all the regulatory started to pass. We got the licensing finally got to the right person and on the right desk to get the stamps from the MLCC. So once we saw that was going to be imminent, then that's when it turned into a sprint.
Yeah. Cool. Now, I was doing a little stalking. I found your LinkedIn page, and I saw there was one line in there that said that you dream of scalability. What do you want to scale at Ellison? You should have gone through other episodes and know that I kind of do this thing now. So yeah. I'm curious. Yeah. What do you want to do at Ellison in terms of some scalability and like what successes do you feel that you've had so far?
Yeah, the beauty of scalability is, first of all, you don't scale until you have a repeatable process, right?
Right.
Because if you scale a bad process, then all you're doing is creating a exponential shit show. So what I will tell you is that phase one of scalability is tightening and creating process. And that's the phase that we're in right now. And so then once you see what you can tighten, what you can control, and what scalability could look like, only then will we really talk about what scalability could mean. But it could mean a lot of different things. It could mean different product lines, and we can talk a little bit about that. It's already looking like a couple different product lines. But as far as locations and stuff like that, that's way too early to talk about.
Yeah. All right, then I've got one more. Then I'm gonna pass it on to Nick here. It's a little bit more stalking that was going on. I have to say that this just kind of it's going into personal life, and I have to say that I am super jealous of you pulling this off. But you getting married in Comerica Park on the field, like I can't even now for me personally, me and my wife Dina, we got married in Eastern Market in Shed 3. We had the whole shed, 200 people. You have Comerica Park where
I did
potentially tens of thousands of people who could be sitting there like, who the hell is this dude getting? What? They're getting married on the field? Like, what was that experience like getting married on the field?
It was the most stressful 6 days of my life planning it. And so it is a long story. I will try to shortcut it as much as I can, but the way that we didn't exactly get married on the field, but we were on the field at the end of it. So the way that it turned out was my fiance at the time, not my fiance at the time, my girlfriend and love of my life at the time, Jessica, was 6 days. Her birthday was coming up, and she wanted to go to a Tiger game, and we had talked previously about getting married, and it was like positively, and so we were both in a positive mindset about it, but we didn't have any planning done. We talked about it one time. We talked about just sort of eloping and not telling anyone. We're both in our middle 40s. She's 25. I'm in my middle 40s, so we wanted to go to a baseball game. She wanted to go to a baseball game for her birthday. And so I invited both sides of the family to just come to the game for her birthday. Nobody knew anything. I had this crazy idea to start reaching out to some folks at the Tigers organization to just propose and to put the sign on the screen, middle of the fourth inning where it says happy birthday, whatever. and I was going to propose. And then right as I thought of let's propose, it turned right into let's make it say, Jessica, will you marry me right now?
Yeah.
So it wasn't just a surprise proposal; it was a surprise marriage. And the Tigers organization was absolutely amazing. They had this roped off section in the mezzanine. Like if you walk around section 200, there's like an open space where you can see the scoreboard and stuff. So they had all that roped off, and they had champagne and an autographed ball. Ken Javibaya signed that ball. And yeah, it was essentially 6 days of planning. And I felt like I was going to absolutely explode and throw up and die all, for 6 days straight. We got her brother ordained, and he was at the game. So when I proposed in the middle of the fourth inning, I said, I don't remember exactly what I said because I blacked out, but for the most part, it was, if you want to do this thing right now and you're not going to kill me, we can go right upstairs. They have a wheelchair for Grandma Flo, who, 93-year-old Grandma Flo, they had an attendant in the wheelchair and everything. And so they hauled us all. She said yes, thankfully. Ryan, her brother, performed the ceremony. It took under 2 minutes. And we had champagne. They had us on the field for pictures afterward. I said, will you marry me? And she said, shit. I mean, that's what she said. She said, shit.
So,
so that's the shortened version of the story.
So you literally did this not being 100% sure she was going to say yes?
Wendy, I was confident, but the mind plays some really crazy things with you as you plan this, and you have her family coming and my family coming, and then you bicker throughout the day. She was actually really pissed at me when we woke up that morning. Like, she was cranky, and I don't know, I probably did something, and so my heart was. She said that she could see my heart coming out of my chest when I was down
I believe that.
Like she said, when we were driving there, I was a total asshole driving. I'm distracted and freaking out, and I'm nearly running people over, and she's screaming at me. And she like around the second or third inning, she like takes her brother aside and like runs up to get a beer, and she's like, what is wrong with him? Like, it's just a baseball game. What's going on? And Ryan, her brother, was like, in his brain, he's like, you have no idea. You have no idea what this has been like.
Oh my God.
Ryan was the only one that knew out of both sides of the family. Ryan was the only one that knew. And I would call him like so that he could be my rock, and I'd be like, what's going on? He's like, I don't know. I'm chewing Xanax. Like, so he was no help either.
So every time I see something like that on TV, I'm like, wow, that's crazy that people would do that. And you took it to the whole other level. Like, that's fucking baller right there.
Oh, I saw those pictures. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, if not even just talking about like that was just asking about that was totally worth it.
This would be a whole different conversation.
Totally different. Totally different. Yeah, exactly. And just like all of that, this is absolutely awesome. So on to you, Nick.
I mean, I don't even know how I
will say one more thing.
Go ahead, Mark.
Let me say one more thing. So there was a lot of it was plastered all over the Tiger social media. They posted all about it, and that in and of itself was crazy. But her dad couldn't make it. He was at home, and like I said, I didn't tell anybody what was going on. So we started to get calls from extended family members. We didn't even have a chance to tell anybody because it was a total surprise. So there was a bunch of family blowing, like, we went and had our reception dinner at the Brass Rail. We just walked into the Brass Rail after the game. And we were getting absolutely blown up, right, by people that we know and by family. And like, my biggest regret is that we couldn't get, the family, all of the family there, to be able to see this thing. But it would have been unwieldy. But I went down to the county in Michigan. Is it in Michigan or maybe just in the county that I live in? I don't know exactly, but I know that in the county that I live in, you can get a license with only one of you needs to show up to get the license. And so, I mean, after I got up off one knee, I pulled the license out of my pocket, and she's like, this is for real. It was like license, ordained minister, and come on, let's go right now. So she had always said two things. One, that she never wanted to plan a wedding ever. And two, she just wanted to get married in a baseball hat and flip-flops. And so both were accomplished.
That's amazing. I just have to say that. That's amazing. Go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
I really don't even know how I could even top this conversation. Talk about Tiger State or Comerica Park and getting married and your girlfriend being pissed at you. I don't even know how I could top that now. Jesus Christ.
I did get a lot of hate mail too, by the way.
You got hate mail after that?
Well, just for that reason, right? Like, just folks like,
oh, geez.
Well, I got folks saying like, oh my God, if my husband ever did that, I'd kill him. But then, then the other side, you just have to know who you're proposing to, right? Like,
but it sounds like you did exactly what she wanted.
She turned around to my mom and said, he knows me so well. And that was like an hour after. And so it was like 6.5 days and not even after the ceremony until I didn't even like sit down, like, or calm down. I was levitating the entire time. Until she said that, then once I heard her say that, then that was good.
Let's switch gears slightly since we're talking about Ellison a little, let's get back on Ellison for a hot second here. So you talked about earlier at the start, the moving spaces and reinvesting into Ellison Brewing. Over the last few months, I've been getting a lot more into craft spirits. How is the spirit side of Ellison Brewing going to fit into this reinvestment strategy or this big reinvestment that you guys are doing over there? How's that fit into this?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm a bourbon guy. I drink a fair amount of liquor in general. But really I'm a bourbon guy, and I was absolutely blown away when I had Aaron's bourbon. He's got a few, and the one that's specifically that rested in cab saug barrels. That was absolutely the shock of going through the process of getting to know Aaron and this brewery. The fact that bourbon, well, I mean, as a sales and marketing guy, I told him, you are absolutely not charging enough for this, is what I said. But he hasn't raised the price yet, so you might want to, if you're a bourbon guy, just swing out there and grab one. But but as far as the growth into the new location doesn't necessarily affect the spirits at all. However, there will be spirits. He's got vodka, gin, rum, and bourbon, right? Yes. And all are great. And the bourbon is absolutely the star. It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, for me, vodka is vodka for me. I can't. He and I have sat down for many, many days, like comparing vodkas and going through filtering processes and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, Aaron, it's great. Aaron, this one's great too. I can't. I don't know. Vodka's vodka. But the bourbon's absolutely, I can't say enough about it. It's fantastic. So, Nick, as far as the growth goes, there will be all of these spirits at both locations. Both locations do have full bars, so you can come in and get beer, cider, seltzer, and an old fashioned if you want.
Just to make one comment, when my first dive soiree into craft spirits was in fact Ellison Brewing. Started out small with the vodka. I thought it was really great, good vodka. I need to get out to East Lansing now and try this bourbon, because now I'm starting to get more and more into bourbon. I got a bar shelf downstairs that's only half full, and
look at you getting to your 40s.
Yeah. Not quite there yet, brother.
Welcome to the club.
I know, right? I know. I'm getting away from these big banging beers, as I've talked in episodes past, and now I'm more into actual liquor more than anything. So, So with the investment, so it sounds like there will be spirits at both locations. So it doesn't sound like that's going to change, and maybe that's for the best, because if you have a solid product. Is with this new space, this investment, can we expect to see any big changes, any new stuff beer-wise coming down the pipeline that you couldn't do originally? Is there something that you can give us a little bit of a preview of?
Yeah, so a couple things. So first of all, as it relates to new beers, so not pulling out of distribution, but retracting distribution the way
dialing back,
we did. It sort of handcuffs us a little bit as it relates to variety, because it's a really big brew house. We're doing 20, 30 barrel batches in that brew house. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of, are we brewing just for the brew pub or largely just for the brew pub? So as we expand back into distribution and as we open this new location, those batches will be able to move. We'll be able to move through those batches a lot quicker, and then we'll be able to have a little bit larger variety. What I'm really excited about in that regard is we resurrected an older New England label of ours called Morally Compromised, which was good previously, but it has a retuned water profile to really match what you get, that mouthfeel, that soft, pillowy mouthfeel that you get in like a treehouse specifically. This beer honors that water profile. So I was super happy with that beer, and I want to see more of that water profile with different. It really opens up a whole new world. That water profile with different grain and hop, with different recipes overall. So I would say, as far as, we still love New England's, over there, and they still sell great and people still drink them. So you're going to see a couple variations on that. Another thing that surprised me when I came over, it's funny, I lived and worked so close to Ellison. I did spend a lot of time over there, and it was a lot of fun getting to know the brewery as I've been there. And what was really surprising to me is the sour program. There's a Fiona sour. It's open fermented sour aged in red wine barrels, and it is absolutely outstanding. It's got just the right amount of acidity. It's not like a enamel sucking sour off of your teeth, but it's a really it's a strong sour, but it's well blended, and so I'm excited to see how we'll grow that sour program as well. And right now, as we are in dry January, we have actually just launched a new pair of non-alcoholic beers, a Pilsner and our tiramisu stout as a NA. And those are going to be released under actually a new brand, Active Brewing by Ellison. And so as we talk about scalability and things like that, that's one of the examples of the way that we're going to scale production into an NA brand. And this is not a matter of just brewing a toned down recipe and calling it NA. There is another very large investment that was made for a pretty high end de-alcoholizer. So we have the advantage of being able to just make a full flavored beer and then extract the alcohol out of it, and it turns into a seltzer base. So we get two products out of one, which is of course pro business. It's good for everybody.
An NA tiramisu stout. I'm fascinated. I'm very fascinated,
man.
Can't wait to try it.
That's going to be interesting. I'm gonna turn it over to Wendy next. Wendy, got any questions?
So, talking about beers, I talked to a few friends about the fact that you were coming on today, and the main question that I have gotten from everybody is, what happened to Gravity?
Yeah, Gravity. So I don't have a great answer to what happened to Gravity. I can tell you that Gravity, it's the biggest question that I get as well. I, like you, have to answer that same question, and I can tell you that it is in the brewing schedule for this year. Opening this location is taking a lot of bandwidth, and so the hope was for Gravity to come out first quarter. It may get pushed now, but there will be Gravity again. There will be Gravity variants again, and I'm thinking I'm probably going to, because I'm going to do NA everything, I'm probably going to do a little bit of NA Gravity. So I want to see like how big of a beer can we do in NA and have it still be great,
Nice.
Just to talk just a little bit more about NA, that we don't want to just make NA beer for the sake of making it. The goal is to make NA beer that when you're drinking it doesn't remind you at every sip that it's NA. And so that's the standard that we're trying to achieve, is that you don't, because even with this Heineken, as good as it is, and I think this style lends itself well. Sorry. I think this style lends itself well to NA, just because it has that Stella Rolling Rock skunk type profile. The real fun is to do things like tiramisu stout and Gravity and see what we can do there. Aaron was an engineer long before he was a brewer, and he's taken a very scientific approach to making sure that these things taste the way that we want them to taste.
So what is next for Ellison? Well, what can we look forward to?
Yeah, we're all hands on deck in opening this location. We had a job fair last week and one more job fair day this week, which will be Wednesday from 5 to 9. And so if anybody in the listening community wants to come out to the job fair, that'd be great. But beyond that, it is really all hands on deck as far as that goes. Now, past that, we are launching so along with the NA, we're launching a ready-to-drink canned coffee. That big fancy new canning line with its UV light disinfector and dissolved oxygen meters and all that stuff to ensure that the product is high quality and durable. We're also going to launch Elevate Coffee. So I don't think I've even talked about this. This might be the first time I've said that to media. So there you go. So we're launching Elevate Coffee, ELLIVATE, marketing guy came up to. So it'll be, and that's not hard coffee, that's just coffee. I spent 10 days in Costa Rica last year, and so I pushed this to Aaron in the hopes that he would fly me back down there, but he said no. So I'll try again.
We'll take the coffee, but you have to stay here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, great idea. No, the coffee can come here. You don't have to go to the coffee. So so Elevate Coffee will be next, and then there's a very large possibility that will span into then canned liquor, RTDs and stuff like that. So the brewery, the way that it's built, is agile enough to do both types of beverages as well as seltzers and all that stuff. And I'm just really busy with our marketing, with our design team doing labels. So it's a lot going on.
So what is something that you are hoping to see happen in the next year or two? What type of style do you want to see Ellison do?
I got really excited when Aaron just put his German Pilsner in the tank. That came out really well. I'd like to see more people come out and drink those. But whether it's the Pilsner or like a tiramisu stout, or what I'd really like to see this year are for the Crescent Freshes and the tiramisu stouts to find their way back into the everyday craft beer drinkers' hands. Those were great beers, and it was a bummer when, just due to pandemic and just general business retraction, distributors had to pick a handful of brands to get behind, and so we're rebuilding those relationships, and we're really excited to work with those guys and move back forward. So what I want to see out of the next year is for Ken to be able to go into his Total Wine or his possibly his chain store, or his Total Wine is chain store, but his Myers Kroger or his local, and very easily pick up some fresh Crescent Fresh. I'd like to see that. So it's sort of a conservative walk before we run kind of thing, but we'll still do some fun, wild stuff too. Aaron always does something crazy, like find some obscure barrel to put a stout in. So I can't imagine that's going to go away.
I don't know what makes you think I'm going to go into a store and buy a 6-pack or a 4-pack of an IPA, but that's some really high hopes.
You're an IPA champion, right?
No. I mean, you know what I saw when I was looking for your beer is I saw Earthen Ales at Distro's a alt beer. So I got a nice little package of alt beer. Yeah. So, I mean, technically, because of you, I got a new alt beer I get to try this weekend. So, I mean, that's what you secured.
How come every time I'm on with you, we talk about alt beer?
Because that's the only thing.
I think the answer is because you talk about alt beer every week.
Yeah, you're not the special part. It's the alt beer. Yeah,
it's not my narcissism that's driving this. No.
It's for the same reason that I see what you did every week.
I don't know if anybody else caught it, but I saw what you did there.
Didn't catch it. I just had dreams of an Ellison version of the German hobo.
Oh Jesus! Yeah.
All right. Well,
that beer was something too. That beer turned into a barley wine as it aged. A damn good one. It was really good. Yeah.
It's one of those types of beers between German Hobo and DKML and Old St. Mix, I think is the Mills one that they made. But I think it's a beer that everyone wants to try once, but doesn't really want to, get a 4-pack or a 6-pack or something like that. So I do see maybe a one-time release in Bombers. I mean, that might be a good reason to bring back a Bomber for a one-time beer. Sharing a malt liquor, but yeah, I don't know too many craft malt liquors these days that are getting in.
Yeah, and this also brings me back to the whole 20-barrel brew house, 30-barrel brew house thing, right? Like that is an awful lot of it'd be 20-barrel.
Well, when we talked to we did our 3-part Dark Horse special, and Dark Horse, their brewers were talking about how they really don't get a chance to play on any small time systems because they're too busy brewing the big beers, the big batch beers. Is there with the investment can we see potentially a pilot system coming into Ellison, at least within one of your, between REO or the normal site, the initial site, original site?
Yeah, I'd love to see it, just because, for all the reasons that you would expect, right? Just as a beer nerd, I'd love to see some experimental stuff. And when I say experimental, I'm not talking about, a bubblegum stout with, peeps or some crazy shit. I'm just talking about, new styles that haven't been tested under the Ellison brand.
Well, you don't need to.
I'd love to see it.
The crazy stuff, as you said, like bubblegum with lactose and 8 different adjuncts. Like I want to see an ESB. Like I walked into Holmes today and I saw Holmes had an ESB, and I about near died of shock because it's not an IPA or their coffee Kolsch.
I did the same thing when I was at Beer Exchange in downtown Detroit. I saw Ascension's ESB, and I pretty much handcuffed myself to the bar stool at that point. So, I get it.
As we end all the shows, we're going to go around and ask you a final question, something fun, lighthearted to end the show, and then we will give you the opportunity to tell us how we can get Ellison, when we can expect them back on the shelves, and of course when another reminder of when REO is opening. So I'm going to start with Rob. Rob, what's your final question for Mark?
Simple question. I believe right after you unfortunately left Old Nation, though I guess unfortunate that you left, but very positive what you were doing in terms of wrapping presents and giving out 100% of all of the profits of doing that. Yeah. I'm kind of curious, were you the better gift wrapper?
Absolutely fucking not. So I am not a gift wrapper. I was logistics in that whole thing, and only when we got super busy, just to catch folks up. So when my now wife and I were laid off, we opened up a charity gift wrapping thing for a local charity, Give a Kid Project in Holt, Michigan. And so we popped up a little storefront. We borrowed some rental space, something like a retail space in downtown Dimondale, and people brought in their gifts, and we wrapped them. We had all the supplies donated, and people just donated whatever they wanted to. It became very clear that I was not only bad at gift wrapping, but I turned into an angry person, just terrible human being when I had to wrap a gift. And so I set the whole thing up, and we did some local news and stuff, and that was great. But when it came time to wrapping gifts, the love of my life did most of the wrapping, and her mom came and helped. And
it's not easy.
No, it's not.
Nick, what's your final question?
All right, it's not necessarily beer related. It's 2-part question. Last games of the regular season in the National Football League. I don't know if you're a sports guy, but I want to hear your predictions. Los Angeles at Seattle. We need Seattle to lose for Detroit to have a chance to make the playoff. Seattle's currently giving up 6 points to Los Angeles. Who do you got that game? Part one of the 2 parts question.
I am team Baker Mayfield all the way. I'm the biggest Lions fan, and Baker has got to win straight up. Right. So there's no other option than Baker Mayfield bringing it home.
Sounds like he's going Rams. Everybody's taking the points. And then the big game, Detroit at Green Bay. Green Bay is giving up 4.5 to Detroit. Who do you got?
Forward down the field, one pride. These Lions are going to take care of business.
There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to not only sneak our way into these playoffs, but I believe we might even win a playoff game.
Ooh, wow, that's a bold prediction.
Listen, this team is hockey sticking north, and with the exception of that bullshit Carolina run defense that we had, our run defense against Carolina, we have been rock solid. I think 7-2. right?
Yes,
That being
it's either
one,
6 or
and
7 in the last 9 games, I think.
yeah, and the losses were that one and the Bills by a field goal on Thanksgiving Day. So I don't think there's a hotter team right now.
All right,
somebody find me a picture of Sharkleberry Finn. My goodness.
Yeah.
I spent quite a bit of time looking for a Lions branded Kool-Aid pitcher, and I failed. But it's if you guys find one, send it to me. Absolutely all in. Yeah, and I'll say it right now. I'm also a realist. In the unlikely but hopeful event that my favorite team on this earth makes it to the very large, superb bowl game, I will cash out my entire 401k and create the largest home equity loan there is to get me all the way to see this team play.
Wow,
it's going to happen. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
You might as well just
happened in my life, or
at this point, you might as well just throw $50 on them going, winning the NFC Championship, and probably cashing out there and getting your way in.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a far more financially fiscally responsible way to do it, Ken. I appreciate that.
No problem.
I wonder what the odds are on that.
Wendy, what's your?
Nick, do you have the odds up on the NFC Championship?
I'll find out, and we'll try to get an answer for you before the end of the show here.
Wendy, what's your final question?
So I am a big beer traveler, so I would like to know for all of my fellow travelers, what is it that should bring us to Ellison to visit?
Oh, well, first of all, when you are headed to Ellison East Lansing, bring a GPS because we're impossible to find. We're tucked into the back of a industrial park, which is super cool. Like, I love where we are, but we don't have any signage off of Grand River, so it's impossible to find. But what is, I think, super cool and unique about our brewery is we have a full kitchen, which is attached to a food truck, and all of the cooking is done in that food truck, which, by virtue of the kitchen being separated from the building by about 3 feet, means you can bring it. We have a full kitchen. You can bring your dogs inside. So if you're a bring your dog to breweries kind of person, like if you've done traveling in pretty much every other cool brewery area except for Michigan, they all are very, very pet friendly, and so are we. We also donate $1 of every morally compromised beer to the Jaeger Foundation, which is they provide financial assistance to give traumatized veterans support dogs. So we're all in on dogs and being able to bring your dogs in. There's something fun going on every night, whether it's the standard stuff like trivia. We are in the backyard of the East Lansing Spartan campus, so it's real tough to walk in there in overrated and what's that? What do they say? What's maize? Maize is the overrated and underperforming color of yellow. Is that how you find it?
That is the color of the tongues of rabid beavers.
And so, so big Sparty house. But I think what I dig the most is that every time I walk in, there's some new friendly pup I get to pet. So pretty great.
Really
got my attention.
Really quickly, Mark, Rob and Ken have helped me out a little bit. FanDuel's got Detroit as a plus 6,000 to win the NFC. MGM's got them at plus 4,000. Bovada's got them at plus 5,500. And then DraftKings
probably going to take more than a $50 bet.
Yeah, and DraftKings has it at plus 7,000.
Yeah, so you might need to do a couple hundred just to get all that extra money and stuff.
Yep.
I mean, $50. I mean, I don't know if they're going to win, but $50 for a coin flip at this point.
No. It's $50. I don't know if that's a coin flip. That's $50 for.
Yeah, I know. They have to win 10. They need Seattle to lose, win tonight,
win the wild card, win the second game, win the third game. So they need to win 4 in a row in Seattle to lose their last game.
Yeah, and right now, with the way things are going, they're either going to play Philadelphia or Dallas right now, because this would be the 7th seed.
With Dallas is always
in a dome.
streaky, good defense. Yeah. And Jalen Hurts, is like, he's not the Jalen Hurts of the first half of the season. So I'm happy with either one of those draws.
Okay, there you go.
All right, my question for you before we send you off.
You should shake me off this. Sorry.
Very, very simple and easy. Do you remember the promo code you gave us for your Festival of Loggers?
Oh, was it? Oh, I know it was shitty. Oh God, what was it?
It was shitty. It was shitty.
Yeah. No!
I completely forgot about it until Ken just asked it. Oh my God!
Yep.
Ken, what was it?
To get $5 off your ticket, you needed to use the promo code "Shut Up, Matt Bush."
Of course it was. It wasn't that shitty. He deserved it.
All right. So finding Ellison, get out your GPS. Find them. How can they find you online?
Yep, EllisonBrewing.com. All over social media, Facebook, Instagram, but EllisonBrewing.com is a good place to do it. And we'd love to have you guys out and at the new place if you want to come hang and do one of these from there. That'd be awesome too.
All right, that's going to do it. We appreciate you coming on. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft. Have a good night.
Peace.